I'm still pretty new to Warhammer 40k. I've been getting more and more into the lore, been picking up some amazing Joytoy figures along the way, but I noticed there was a bit of a problem. I have all these amazing figures, and not a single bad guy. And if you've been around me or known me for any amount of time, you know this is a massive issue for me. I actually went out seeking Horus. That was my plan. Unfortunately, I struck out on getting one. So, Abaddon became my second choice, and honestly, I'm not exactly upset about it. Because if I'm gonna finally put a good villain on the shelf, I could do a hell of a lot worse than the War Master of Chaos. Just look at this guy. I mean, come on. This is exactly the kind of ridiculous over-the-top evil shit that got me interested in Warhammer in the first place. So I had to see what Joytoy could do with him. And now that I've actually got him in hand, yeah, I'm pretty damn impressed. So let's take a look at this guy. So the first thing that really surprised me about this guy was his size. He's heavy, he's big. He's significantly bigger than any other Joytoy figure I've picked up so far, and honestly, the pictures don't really do that justice. When we actually pick him up, he feels substantial, and then you start looking at all the details. There's just stuff everywhere. The armor, the gold trim, the spikes, the chains, the trophies. His standard is amazing. Every time I move the camera on another part of this figure, I find something else to look at. And that's one of the things I really love about Joytoy's Warhammer figures. They can take these already ridiculous Warhammer designs and actually make them work at this scale. And Abaddon's face looks fantastic. He looks pissed off. He looks intimidating. He looks like a guy you probably wouldn't want walking towards you. Which, considering who this is, I say they nailed that. The paint is also really impressive. The gold looks great. The armor has a ton of little details packed out. And the overall, this thing just looks fantastic. But I do have one criticism. I think a little more shading would have pushed this thing over the top. There's so much detail here that I would have loved to see a little more in depth on some of these recesses. A little more shadow, a little more weathering, just something to make all of that detail pop a little bit harder. And that's the funny criticism to have here, because the paint is already really good. It's just one of those things where I look at this and I think, you were this close. But visually, this is everything I wanted Abaddon to be. Let's quickly get into these accessories, and honestly, this is probably where I'm the most disappointed. For the price of this figure, I was expecting a little bit more. The accessories, they're not bad. I mean, you get a couple of extra hands, you get a respirator, you get his little wolf thing to make him look like his clone daddy, and a little stand. I just don't feel like there's a ton here for what you're paying. But then, I get to this. Look at this fucking sword. This thing is incredible. The sculpt is haunting. The detail is immaculate. It just looks absolutely insane in hand. And I don't know what it is about this thing, but every time I look at it, I'm like, yeah, that's the weapon I would want my giant evil space lord carrying. It's easily my favorite accessory with the figure, and honestly, this sword alone makes up for a lot of the disappointment with the rest of the accessories. It just has so much presence, and I really love how it looks with the figure. Then, we've got to spend some time with the Talon of Horus. Again, this thing looks fantastic. It's huge, it's immaculately detailed, and it really completes the character overall. My only complaint here is the articulation. I really do wish that Joytoy had put some ball joints into the knuckles of this thing, because being able to get a little bit more movement out of the Talon, I think would have made posing him overall a better experience. It's not a complete deal breaker, it still looks great. I just think they could have done a little more with it. Alrighty, now it's time to see how this guy actually stacks up against some of my other figures. First up, Azrael from the Dark Angels. Immediately you can see the difference. Abaddon is just a much bigger, heavier looking figure. Now, let's put him next to Helbrick from the Black Templars. Again, Abaddon absolutely dominates him. And then let's bring in some Ultramarines. This is where the scale really starts to hit. Look at this. Put Abaddon next to a regular Space Marine, and he just doesn't really look like another guy in the army. He looks like the boss fight. And honestly, I think that's exactly what you would want from a figure such as this. He needs to look like somebody who commands attention, and this guy definitely does. Now let me touch on the articulation. As far as the articulation goes, if you've handled other Joytoy figures, you know pretty much what you're getting. It's good. It's not the best articulation I've ever seen, but it's definitely serviceable. The armor obviously limits some of what you can do, and the Talon could use a little bit more movement, but I can still get some really good poses from this guy. And honestly, I don't think anybody's buying Abaddon because they want him doing gymnastics. He's supposed to look like this. Big, heavy, intimidating, and he does that really, really well. So, final thoughts. I'm still pretty new to Warhammer 40k, I'm still learning the lore, I'm still discovering the characters, I'm still figuring out exactly what I want my collection to look like. I knew I wanted this guy because he's evil. In full disclosure, I love the villains, and visually, this figure absolutely delivers. The sculpt is amazing, the paint is excellent, and the amount of detail is ridiculous. He's heavy, he's huge, he has an insane amount of shelf presence. The accessories are probably the weakest part for me, especially considering the price, but then you get to this beautiful sword and it changes and forgives it just a little bit. I'd like to see more shading, still like to see a little bit more articulation, particularly in the talon, but those are relatively small complaints when I look at this figure as a whole. Because at the end of the day, I bought Abaddon because I thought he looked fucking awesome. And now that I have him in hand, yeah, he looks fucking awesome. And I'm really glad to add this guy to my collection. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.